This is the Awkward Game Master Corbin. Today I ask the question, what do you do when your players brute force their roles to win the game? If you'd like to support the channel, you can send us a couple bucks through my Ko-fi account below. Also, I love to support independent game masters and small businesses. If you'd like to sponsor a video, please contact me at awkwardgm.corbin@gmail.com and we can come up with a customized spot for you. In my Chronicles of Darkness game, I ran a mission I called Stay One Night. An heir to a fortune must stay one night in his ancestral home to earn his inheritance from his deceased uncle. He had been threatened by an unknown individual and needed protection, and that's where the players came in. The players were Angel the werewolf, Francis the changeling, OP the mage, and Sophia the vampire. For this mission, my goal was to place the tension on whether the players could defend the heir instead of if the players could stay alive. The main wrinkle to keep the heir from leaving the house was that he was under constant observation. There was a lawyer who was always next to him, cameras watching the exits, motion sensors were on the doors and windows, and the heir even had a GPS ankle monitor like people have when they're under house arrest. As for enemies, there were several ghosts in the house that would try and possess him or scare him enough to leave. Most importantly, the uncle's murderer was hidden inside the house, later revealed to be the uncle's deformed daughter hidden away in the basement. Much like in Phantom of the Opera or that Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors episode where Bart discovers he has an evil twin living in the attic. The players were able to scare off the ghosts and capture the murderer, but they didn't realize that she was a threat to the heir, so they brought him to her, and she slashed his throat out, doing enough damage to cause him to bleed out. He needed to go to an ER immediately, but the players were in trouble. If the heir left the house, he'd lose the inheritance and they'd fail the mission, and none of them had any medical skills or healing abilities at all. But the players were determined. They used spells to give themselves medical skills, and they even tried summoning a goblin from the hedge to help, but the dice were not in their favor. The lawyer NPC was about to call an ambulance when they summoned a hobgoblin surgeon to stabilize him for a kidney. So I let them do it. And just as the hobgoblin was going to take the guy's kidney, the mage OP cast a spell to make the hobgoblin think he had already been paid. The problem is I let the players spend too much time trying to save the heir. He was bleeding out, but the players didn't have a ticking clock that let them know when he'd die. It's been a few weeks since that game, and I still think of ways I could try to improve on the concept. If I could do this all over again, I think I'd let my players know you have 3 tries to get this guy stabilized or he dies. Without that limit, the players essentially had all the time in the world, and thus could take 30 minutes using summoning powers to bring in the hobgoblin doctors. That being said, I do think if I had let the heir die, it would have left the players with a bad experience. The players made the decision to bring together the heir and the murderer, and they thought they could stop her if she tried anything. And even afterwards, the dice kept coming up bad. What would you do in this situation? Do you think my fix could have stopped the session from spiraling into a negative play experience? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and please like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon to check if it rings. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one. Man. It's like, do you let the players go down that path knowing full well that it's like you're just basically giving them more time, you're basically handing it to them? But at the same time, if you let the guy die and they've spent all this time trying to keep him alive, they've spent all this time basically doing nothing. They basically have been staving off the inevitable. It's a very tough decision to make, and I, for the life of me, don't know if I were to do it again if my fix would stop that from happening. It would let them know when it would happen, but I don't know. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one, and thank you for staying after the whole end screen stuff that happens in this.